Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, October 10th, 2019. I'm Keith Tebow. We start tonight with news from New Bedford Superior Court on the Fall River City Council's petition to ask a judge to rule to enforce their vote on September 10th to temporarily remove Mayor Jaziel Correa from office while he faces 24 federal indictments. The parties, you may remember, argued the case before Judge Rafi Yasayan last week, and today the judge ruled that he will deny the City Council's wish for a preliminary injunction in the case, meaning that as of right now, things are status quo, and Mayor Correa will remain in office until further court proceedings take place. We'll have more on this as the story develops, but for right now, let's return to our pre-recorded edition of FRC Media News. And as we do week in and week out, we bring in Phil Devitt, the digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Keith. I'm doing well. Good to be with you. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Let's start with some fairly disturbing news from over the weekend. There was a stabbing of a 68-year-old woman in one of the area housing projects here in Fall River. And the accused assailant is a 15-year-old girl. And we still don't know a lot about the details of this case, Phil, but really disturbing to see someone so young commit such a crime.
It absolutely is disturbing. I think shocking is the word we were using here in the newsroom the other day. This is a shocking and sad story. And as you said, it produces a lot of questions that we're still trying to answer here at the Herald News. And hopefully we'll get those answers soon. What we do know is that a 15-year-old girl has been charged with murder for allegedly stabbing a 68-year-old woman at the Father Diaferio Village Apartments off of Johnson Street here in the city. This happened late Sunday afternoon, and by Sunday evening, the suspect, Heavenly Arroyo, was taken into custody. The deceased is named Anna Vasquez. She was found with multiple stab wounds. We're hearing anywhere from 14 to 20. Arroyo is being held without bail in this case. She's only been in Fall River a short time from what we've been able to learn, a couple of weeks at the max. She's from Rochester, New York originally. Her parents, according to her defense attorney, live in other states. So what we're trying to do is figure out what brought her here and what her relationship was to the victim. A lot of questions still to be answered. And she is due back in court October 15th for a status hearing, Keith.
And something that was interesting, and we saw photos in the paper and also some video online of, the accused, the 15-year-old girl, Heavenly Arroyo, in court, didn't seem to be too bothered by the situation, whether she understood what was happening to her or not. There were images of her with a smile on her face at times, and she actually, according to reports, that she actually said, in effect, that she murdered the woman the day before. It's just an interesting case, and I know that the attorney was spoken to, her attorney was spoken to outside the courtroom, and I guess he's still trying to piece together what was her mindset and what her state is as of right now.
Yes, Keith. In fact, you were referring to a police report that's on file at district court in which an officer alleges that he heard the suspect say, and I quote, "I killed the old lady and I am sorry," unquote. That's something you don't see in the police report every day. As for her behavior in court, yes, it was captured on camera and noted by our reporters here. Afterwards, when we spoke to her defense attorney, he said, look, this is a young girl. We have to remember this is her first experience in a courtroom as far as he could tell. And this is an unparalleled circumstance. Meaning the defense attorney, said he doesn't necessarily think that Arroyo understood the seriousness of the allegations against her at the time. Definitely
very, very sad situation that we will continue to follow as it works its way through the court system. All right, up next, back to some city news. This week, the city of Fall River sort of tidied up its fiscal year 2019 budget, And it looks like the city has some more money, Phil, in its rainy day account.
Yeah, it's always good to have a little extra cash in the pockets, I think. So this is the story today, is that the Department of Revenue here in the state has certified $3 million in free cash for Fall River from the fiscal 2019 budget. And we try to break this down for you. So the addition of this $3 million means that we've got about $9 million total in extra funds, according to Mary Sahadi, the Financial Services Director here in the city.
Right.
She says that this is going to be a big help to the city. Of course, we could always use some more money. And where is it coming from, really? Well, about a third of it, or $1 million, is coming from marijuana revenue, basically fees and taxes from the marijuana industry over the last year. And almost the same amount, about $800,000, is coming in interest income, mainly stemming from a $60 million loan for the new BMC Durfee High School, and another $400,000 is coming from the Veterans Department, which I thought was interesting. Mary Sahadi telling us that there has been a drop in people seeking services from that department, which is why the money's been freed up. And then rounding this out, another $273,000 from unfilled staffing positions here in the city, and about $135,000 from street and highways facilities maintenance. So that's the rough breakdown. We could break it down even more for you, but that's where the money's coming from. So
well, that always lends to another question, Phil, by people who always are critical of government in general about taxes and why taxes need to go up. When they see something like $3 million in effect extra for the city, some people will say, well, why do you raise taxes every year? You mentioned unfilled positions. Why are those positions still on the books, if you will? And I'm sure, obviously Joe Good and the rest of you there at the Herald have asked the city these questions in the past. And what do they normally say to those types of questions?
Well, I mean, it's one of those situations, I think, where, you're always going to have people, questioning, I guess, your judgments or why you did things a certain way. At the end of the day, city officials keep coming back to this being a good thing for the city. Obviously, there are always things we could do to tighten up the budget. Maybe spend money a little more efficiently, even if that means eliminating unfilled positions altogether. But they're very much focused on the positive today, as they are every time we do a story like this. Mary Sahadi telling us it's great that we have additional money, additional dollars set aside for the rainy day fund, and what's to kind of indicate how much of a good PR thing the city officials think this is. Mayor Hetzel Correa, who is under a lot of pressure right now, shared the story as soon as we put it on our website this week. Touting all the great things the city is doing and has done, and will continue to do. And I think preferably he would think under his leadership, to save money and then to have it available for when we really need it for other things. Right,
and the mayor has said, of course, in all of his campaign discussions that when he came on board, the city had about $700,000, I believe, in that rainy day fund. Now it's $9 million, and again, gives the city more flexibility in the event that of an emergency or in the event that they need extra money for any other purpose. But one of the things I thought that was interesting is that it's recommended that a community have about 10% of their budget in that rainy day fund in terms of covering that. So in the city's case, that would be about, what, $26 million? City budget, $260 million. So they still got some ways to go to hit that 10% mark, but at least they're moving in the right direction, I guess, is the way to look at it, right?
Moving in the right direction, maybe $3 million at a time. If only it was that easy for all of us, right?
Yeah, right. That would be easy. And speaking of election, as we head toward it, Phil, 4 weeks from today, we'll be talking about the results of the November 5th election. And some news came out late on Friday, as we had talked about this before, the issue of Fall River School Committeeman Joshua Hetzel. He was elected for the first time in 2017, and in that instance, he's also a firefighter here in the city of Fall River. The new charter that was passed in 2017 indicates that an individual cannot work for the city and also run for office. Joshua Hetzel appealed that to a federal court and won his case on Friday. He's going to be allowed to stay on the ballot, and if he's elected, serve. So something that came together quickly, but is some sort of clarity. I guess the question is, what does that mean for the provision in the charter?
That is a good question, and Joe Good here, who is our politically savvy reporter, is looking into that as we speak. We don't know necessarily what it means for the charter provision just yet. Obviously, this is a new charter rule that Hetzel, previously would not have had to worry about. And so when you have something that's unprecedented like this, it, calls everybody back to the drawing board to figure out, how do we respond to this? Hetzel, of course, for his part, said he was extremely happy with the judge's decision the other day. He's cautious about this. He knows that in order to serve, he does need to be reelected,
right.
And that's going to require campaigning on his part over the next month, less than that now, as you mentioned, because the election is so close. So we'll see what happens. Corporation Counsel Joe Macy, of course, represented the city in this court hearing, and he sort of gave us a pretty blanket by-the-book response, saying that the judge issued an order addressing every issue, finding for the most part against the city, until a subsequent and permanent order is issued. A center issue in this, as we mentioned in our reporting this week, is the question of whether the city's interest in the prohibition of Hetzel or any municipal employee serving as an elected official outweighs their First Amendment rights.
Right.
So that's sort of a larger question that we're dealing with here, Keith.
So this was just an injunction to allow Joshua Hetzel to stay on the ballot, but nothing really is definitive in terms of what would happen moving forward. Is this case still before the judge in terms of a declaratory opinion that would be more binding? What's the next step?
So what we're hearing from both Macy and Hetzel is that the U.S. District Judge Leo Sorokin understands the importance of this issue,
right.
and could render a larger decision as soon as this week. So we're keeping our eyes on that, in addition to other court proceedings that we've talked about here, Keith.
All right, again, something we will continue to follow. All right, Phil, what's coming up over the next few days?
So, we started this conversation talking about this fatal stabbing over the weekend, but there was another murder that happened here in the city several weeks ago, outside of JC's Cafe on Bedford Street,
right.
After a brawl between two motorcycle clubs. Of course, that's old news at this point, but we're digging in a little bit more to that story, and learning that tensions were high between those clubs in the weeks and months leading up to this shooting. So we'll have more details on that coming up in the Herald News. All
right, Phil, thanks a lot. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith. Take care.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Senior Firmware Engineer. L3 Harris Technologies, located at 275 Martine Street, is looking for a full-time senior firmware engineer to assist in planning and coordinating all activities related to the design, development, and implementation of client information systems and software applications. Job number 126-67046. Lead Industrial Maintenance Mechanic. Viola North America is looking for a full-time lead industrial maintenance mechanic to perform electrical and mechanical tasks on automated conveyors and packaging and distribution equipment in the Fall River area. Job number 126-65824. Cashier. Rite Aid, located at 933 Pleasant Street, is looking to hire a full-time cashier to provide customer service by assisting customers with their shopping needs, answering customer inquiries, and resolving customer complaints. Job number 126-69310. Star Incorporated, located at 386 Stanley Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Registered nurse, job number 126-65366. Electronics Health Record Specialist, job number 126-59366. Argosy Charter School, located at 263 Hamlet Street, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Custodian Maintenance Assistant, job number 126-69429. Middle School Reading Specialist, job number 126-69447. For more information on these or other positions, visit masshirejobquest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. An updated evacuation plan at Diamond Regional Vocational and Technical High School is now in place for people with mobility impairments. Here's the story.
We're gathered because part of the mission of our commission is to use the handicap parking funds that are collected through fines into a separate account for the commission to benefit programs and services for people with disabilities in Fall River.
This is an exciting project. You're actually going to see a demonstration. Dennis has agreed to show us all how those chairs work, and we look forward to seeing that. But again, on behalf of the community and the Disability Commission, we're excited to be able to bring these resources into the community to the benefit of students and staff at Diamond High School.
The chairs are 3 in total with the cabinets, strategically located throughout the building on the 2nd floor, used in an evacuation or emergency situation with students who may be disabled or temporarily disabled, crutches, sporting injuries, anything to that effect. Super easy to use. Within 30 to 45 seconds we can have somebody secured in a chair. Again, they're located right near a staircase to an outside exit here at the school, and we can get somebody safely off the 2nd floor in approximately 60 seconds utilizing the chair.
Part of the construction of the new BMC Durfee High School will be a new regulation-sized swimming pool, as we hear in this report.
So the new pool will be regulation. We will be able to hold state meets here, which we've never been able to do because of the size of the old pool, its measurements were a little shorter than regulation. So we are looking forward to this whole area being transformed. Some new bleachers, office space, all of the mechanical part of this building, which is the pool structure, and all of the pool equipment will all be brand new. A lot of renovations here in this building, and it'll be coinciding with the renovations for the rest of the field house.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Wounded Lori. Wounded Lori is a pretty little dove. She likes to eat vegetables. Peas are probably her favorite. She would be a great pet if you had other animals in the house, as you know, she stays in a bird cage. She is quiet, she doesn't make any noises. She would require a large bird cage, something a lot bigger than what she's currently in now. If you are interested in coming to look at Lori, please come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. Forever Paws.
Today we have Lana. She's a 6-month-old female Staffordshire Terrier. She is very sweet. As far as we know, she doesn't have any health issues. Lana likes to play like she's shy at first, but she is very friendly. She does get the zoomies, but she's still a baby. She would need basic training still. She does do good with other dogs. She would do good with children as well. On set. Good girl. Good girl. She's very easygoing. Lana's been here for about 2 weeks now. So if you want to come down and meet Lana or any of our other pups, We are located at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River.
And finally this week, Fall River and other area artists gathered at UMass Dartmouth recently to network and exchange ideas on how to share creative concepts for the betterment of the community at large.
I was invited here to do a workshop for community members and creative people and artists who are interested in thinking about how they could work on things that mattered to community and to create a more vibrant and thriving place. We had 40 people who came from Fall River and New Bedford, many of whom didn't know each other before, so they met today. We talked about what artists bring to the table and how to collaborate deeply with each other. And I think people left with a bunch of different ideas of what they might do, and also ways to connect to the Community Foundation.
Through our Creative Commonwealth initiative, which is our arts and culture initiative for New Bedford and Fall River, we hoped that this workshop would have a number of things to come about from it. But one of the things that were key is just the networking. Sometimes people don't realize the value of just getting together with people who are different from you, having conversations, meeting new folks, and being able to think about creating ideas, creating art, and just creating a more livable, thrivable community. So one of the goals of this workshop was really to get people talking, thinking, and really learning how to collaborate. So it's not just about artists or organizations, but it could be municipal leaders, it could be schools, it could be health organizations, and the list goes on. We truly believe that any type of sector can benefit from working with the arts. And so in our Creative Commonwealth initiative, we're highlighting working with immigrants, with youth, and with culturally diverse populations, but really forging partnerships that go across sector.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and find out about what we do online at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.